Hello and welcome to the regular video discussion series that we at Vedamo had organized specifically for you, for educators. The topic is the same, EduTalks for online teaching, and today's guest is Leo Hernandez, online project manager at Action Tutoring. Thank you for agreeing to our invitation, Leo. Please introduce yourself and tell us more about what you do and what's your role in the organization.
Of course. So I'm based in Liverpool at the moment, actually, in United Kingdom. I work for an organisation called Action Tutoring, which you can see up here on the whiteboard. And we're a national education charity here in the UK. Our mission is to support disadvantaged pupils, so pupils from a lower socioeconomic background, with tutoring, pupils who wouldn't otherwise be able to receive tutoring. And what we do is we recruit volunteers who tutor the pupils, and they receive that tutoring in school. But actually, during the kind of lockdown and the pandemic, they've been receiving the tutoring at home as well. I think it provides a new way of engaging with pupils as well. So, for young chads, using an online platform like Vedamo can be very helpful. It's something they're more used to. It's online. It's very exciting for them. So it also helps engage them as well in that sense, and employ their skills with kind of tech to good use.
What might be the challenges for online teaching from your point of view?
Absolutely, I think there are a few challenges. It's new for pupils, so sometimes just becoming accustomed to kind of an online platform takes some time because they're not familiar with the tools, which is why for all of our sessions, the first session we ever do with a pupil on using Vedamo, we have a initial get to know the tools. We have about 5 or 6 slides which are just explaining all the tools, and there are some games we create to kind of get the pupils just to try out different tools. So the text tool, the drawing tool and stuff like that. So they become accustomed to it. So we make sure that every first session that a pupil has, they have plenty of time to practice with the platform in order to kind of solve that problem. I'd say sometimes another difficulty is just engaging a pupil. They spend a lot of time, especially during the pandemic, the lockdown, on screen, like looking at a screen. So it's hard to engage them always as you would normally be able to in person, perhaps. And so we make sure that we break up our sessions with brain teasers, activities, games, and make sure that in between the content of the session we have kind of fun activities for them to do, just to give them a bit of a brain break, as we call them, and ensure that they maintain stay engaged as well. I think if we work in groups, so sometimes we're in small groups, and 2 pupils to 1 tutor, or even 3, there are useful tools as well you can use to kind of maintain the pupils' focus. So kind of making sure that you have your whiteboard settings so that they're all on the same page, so they're not going around to different pages. You can change some of the features so that the pupils can't chat to each other, just to make sure you're all on the same kind of page as well. And then just making sure you always bring things back, centering the camera so everyone comes back to the middle. So we find that that's one of the challenges, is making sure pupils kind of stay focused, but the tools do help our tutors kind of manage that.
And if you were to choose just top 3 tips, what would they specifically be?
Oh, very good question. Top 3, I would say focusing on the resources you're going to use. That would be my first one. So ensuring that you create resources that are engaging, that are visually engaging for your pupils, especially that bright colors and not too much text on one page, to ensure that the pupils don't get lost in it and can just stay engaged, and it's nice and simple. So you can cover whatever topic you're covering without overwhelming the pupil, perhaps, especially in a screen it can be too much for them. So I'd say that having great resources, and what we do for that is we prepare all our resources for our tutors, and they deliver them. So we have a set of templates for primary English or for secondary maths, and we send those to that tutor, and they kind of follow that structure for our pupils. Secondly, I would say being prepared is really important. I'd say online learning is very unforgiving. So there's just two of you, and if you're both on the screen,
Yes.
if there's any pause or if you're not sure how to use the tool, you can very quickly lose a pupil's attention. So I think it's very important to be prepared. So we try to make sure that our tutors are well supported and prepared before they go into a session. We ask them to spend at least kind of 20 minutes going through each session, just to make sure that they know where they're going to pause for a break, or they know how they're going to ask a question, or they've already drawn out some mind maps or graphs or anything, tables that they're going to use in the session, so that there's no delay really with the session. So that I would say the second one most important, being prepared. I think third tip is just trying to be as engaging as possible. So being very positive and motivated when you're tutoring. Again, because there's two of you, it's quite an intense way of communicating, and often a pupil can't see you in the same way they would in real life. So, in real life, you can use your hands, your body language is very visible. So you can be engaging, and the pupil picks up on that very easily. But, in a virtual session, that's harder to do. So it's important that with your voice and your face, you demonstrate that you're engaged and that you're enjoying the session, just to keep the pupil kind of motivated as well. And you've got to be focused on the session. And one thing that Vedamo does is really good for that, actually, for both pupils and tutors, is has this function that if you click onto anything else, a little yellow icon comes up. I've just done that now, so you can see, and that's helpful for both the tutor and the pupil to know that your focus is fully just on the session.
What is the way that your tutors engage children? If you can share some observations, how do you engage them? Something specific, how do you engage children's eyes into the learning process in an online setting?
Definitely. I think the key thing is to ensure that, that where possible or as much as possible, it's the pupil who is speaking and who is letting how they feel about a topic or what they want to learn about, or answering questions, rather than the tutor being the one who is kind of talking all the time. So we very much encourage our tutors to always ask open questions with our pupils. Make sure that you're always checking their learning. It's not just you kind of doing a monologue to a pupil or a presentation, but you're interacting constantly. So our templates are very much set up so that there's constant questions for the pupils. There might be a reading activity which the pupil reads out loud with the tutor, but then the majority will be question-based, to ensure that they're always engaging kind of with the interactive tools, with the whiteboard, so that they feel like they're in control as well, that it's their session, rather than just a teacher presenting something to them from the front of a classroom. And I think that's what a platform like Vedamo or online tutoring or teaching can provide, is that individual support for a pupil. So for us, because we provide tutoring, it's 1-to-1 or 2-to-1. So our teachers can be much more focused on the needs of an individual pupil. So I think that's really important for us. And
I want to thank you, Leo, for your time and everything that you shared with us, with our viewers.
Thank you so much, Tudor. It was lovely to speak to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope you liked the conversation with Leo, and if you would like to suggest any kind of topics, or if you would like to speak on a topic regarding online teaching and you're an educator, please comment below, send us your information, your ideas, send us an email, follow us on our YouTube channel, and please tell us what you want to share with us as tips and tricks for online teaching. We'll be happy to have you as a guest speaker. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.